Greetings, everybody. This is Hussein from Total Urban Survival, and today is Martial Monday, and I'm going to be explaining some amazing information to you about warrior body culture and how it is developed all over the world. So welcome to the show this week, and we're going to be talking about warrior body culture, people. And everybody asks me all the time, first of all, what is that? Can you please define it, first of all? And then afterwards, can you please tell us how to get it? So this is a question that I've been getting over many years because I've been teaching warrior body culture, and that's one of the first things that I focus on when I teach new students. And for you guys, if you're instructors already, you're definitely familiar with the concept of it, but maybe you don't call it the same thing, right? So you have a different word for it. I say warrior body culture because that's just the term that I coined over the years in order to make it more clear for people to understand what I'm referring to. But you can have several different names for it. I don't have a monopoly on knowledge. Other people have definitely created other names and things like that, or explained it in different ways, but I call it warrior body culture because that's just easy for me to refer to students. When I say this warrior body culture, what do I actually mean? It means the way that human beings actually move in order to perform certain types of combative techniques and movements. So that's all it is. That's what warrior body culture is. And everywhere that we go around the world, we'll see different types of warrior body culture. Every culture has its unique style of moving in order to fight. And that's why a lot of times on YouTube and other places online, you'll see people criticizing certain types of movement. So for example, if somebody comes with an overhead knife, overhead ice pick attack like this and tries to attack somebody, some people on YouTube, they will come and they will say, that's very unrealistic, and nobody's going to attack you like that. And then there will be another one who comes and he'll say, people punch straight like this, and then they'll say, oh, you know what, that's really unrealistic because nobody is going to do a straight punch like that. They're going to come with a hook punch like that and try and knock you out that way. Well, all of that might be true if you're looking at it from the perspective of staying in one location all the time, and you're looking at it from the perspective of your body culture in your environment. But the reality of it is when we're talking about human body culture and human warrior body culture specifically, it changes according to the place that we live. So if you go to the eastern part of the world, the people will have a different way of moving, a different way of throwing a technique at you than if you go to the western part of the world. It depends on a few different factors, right? If somebody comes and tells me, look at my advanced method for a no-touch knockout, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, like a no-touch knockout, if you tell me the bioelectricity or whatever and all this stuff, I've never been able to stand in front of a person and have them do it to me. I've never been able to have anybody effectively use that type of technique in front of me to show me that it actually works. So there's no real evidence for it, okay? There's no evidence for it. So I stay away from stuff like that. Now, I'm going to take the first two very common things that people always talk about, and that is the straight punch. Okay, I've heard this so many times. And also the knife attack, the straight knife attack. Okay, now people have always complained to me, people who are coming from the Western world, and I see this in the videos also, they make the same criticisms all the time, and they say that a person will not punch you straight like this. They will hook punch you like that. So the straight punch thing is a waste of time in order to learn. And I beg to differ because realistically, like I said, different cultures move in their body culture and their warrior body culture in a different way, depending on the factors that they had in their culture over the evolution of the years, right? And the same thing with the knife. Now, the knife comes straight and goes into you like that, and that knife attack is coming towards your face or towards your body or whatever it is. And then, for example, in Pencak Silat, then we'll pass the blade like that to the outside and we'll do some kind of hand attack or something like that. Or in other systems, they'll have some other way in order to counter those straight attack movements. Wing Chun will have another way, Pencak Silat will have another way, and there are so many different methods in order to do that. And then I've heard so many of these pundits come out and then say, you know what, these two methods are not real, because if people are coming with an attack with a knife, most probably it's going to be coming underhanded and it's going to be a repeated stab like that to the lower part of your body or something like that in a zipper motion. That's fine. And that is 100% correct. If you're dealing in a North American prison type of environment, then you're probably going to have that. If you go to another place in the world, you'll have a different type of body culture. I'd like to tell you the 3 different things that I have seen with my own eyes have a direct influence on the body culture of people all over the world. Now, one of the things is the way that people sit. Now, people in different cultures sit in different ways. So in a Western world, we sit on a chair, and you have a chair there, you sit down on a chair and a table, and it's pretty much, you're pretty erect. So that influences the way that you move. It influences the way that your legs develop over the years, and the way that your ass and everything else develops over the years. So all those things come into play from the way that you sit down. You go into a place like Japan or Indonesia or Malaysia, and the predominant method of sitting is on the floor. So people sit either with their feet under their asses, okay? Like in Japan, it's very common to have your feet down and then you sit on top of your legs. In Malaysia and Indonesia, it's very common also, especially when people pray. In Southeast Asia and Muslim countries, people pray like that. They sit on their knees. So it's very common, and they stay in those positions for long periods of time. It affects the way that the people are. One of the things that you'll notice in Japan, if you ever go to Japan, you'll see that the people's feet are a little bit different. Sometimes people will have feet that are a little bit curved inside, and they're kind of walking like that, especially women. Their feet are a little bit curved in like that, and they're walking. And those things are directly related to the way that people sit in the environment. So that's what I have seen from talking to them and looking at them and interacting with them for long periods of time, and asking them directly questions about those things, because there are things that I didn't see in other places that I've lived in. So the way that people sit influences the way that they move. Also, in their body culture, when it comes to their karate and other things like that, or their Pencak Silat or whatever, the way that they move their feet when they're doing their footwork is related to also the way that they're comfortable standing up and sitting. So it all is interrelated. The second thing that I found over the years is dancing. Dancing has a very, very direct impact in the way that people actually move, especially in Southeast Asia. There's a lot of interrelationship in Southeast Asia between martial arts and dance. And there's a lot of connectivity. So the dances are related to the martial arts movement because they were meant in order to show a kind of martial demonstration of skill in a non-violent way in front of different people. For example, if you are in front of the Sultan, or if you're doing, for example, a respect for the people who are getting married, that are, for example, in a wedding ceremony or something like that. So those kind of places and those kind of situations, there are different demonstrations of martial skill that happen in those places that do not have a violent kind of, they don't have a violent intention behind it. It's just a display of skill rather than a violent intention behind the movement. So in those cases, those kind of movements are more related to the dance form. So they kind of influence each other over the years. The dance influences the martial, and the martial influences the dance. And we see this also in Bruce Lee's JKD. When Bruce Lee was developing Jeet Kune Do over the years, one of the things that influenced him was dancing. He went and he did fencing, he did boxing, he did in Indonesian Silat. He did Kali from the Philippines. He did all different types of martial arts, and he also did ballroom dancing and other types of cha-cha and all of this kind of dancing movements, because he felt that the footwork of dancing was very smooth in order to move you out of the way and position yourself properly, and it is a benefit for martial arts. And it's the same thing in the Eastern world. They did the same thing, and it happened like that naturally over the years, that dancing influenced martial arts and martial arts influenced dancing. in that way. In Africa, it's the same thing. When you live in Africa and you see the way that the people dance, if you look at the dancing in, for example, in Sudan, the knife dance in Sudan, or in the or Yemen. Yemen is another good example of that, where they have the knife dance with the jembia in Yemen. You'll see that the dance influences the martial art, and the influences the dance. So dancing has a very, very strong connection with martial culture and behavior over the years in all of these different locations. And the third thing that I saw over the years traveling is agricultural work. Agricultural work has a very direct impact in the way that people move with a weapon. So, for example, if you go to, when I was into Sumatra, okay, let's take that as an example. When I was in Sumatra, I went deep into the villages and stuff in Sumatra. And one of the things that I noticed is when people are doing agricultural work, the way that they, for example, cut the weeds and things like that, or the way that they hack something, this is also when later on when I saw their martial arts demonstrations and the way that they were practicing their silat, the movements that they do in the agricultural work are very similar to the type of movements that they use for their silat. So the way that they angle their attack with the knife, the way that they attack straight when they're punching into the ground in order to dig the weed out of the ground, those things are all very, very present in the movement that they had in their Pencak Silat demonstrations. So I think because agricultural survival is much older than all of these martial arts, I think that the way that the martial arts developed over the years was directly influenced from the way that people actually worked, and of course the tools that they had in the environment. That's why we see tools, for example, like the celurit, and the celurit was an old farm tool which was then changed to become into a weapon. And then people also say the same thing about the karambit. The karambit was actually developed from farming tools, but that's incorrect. The karambit was actually a weapon that was always a weapon. It's not a farm tool. It was a very sacred weapon to the people of Minangkabau, and it was a weapon that was considered rahasia. Rahasia is like a secret thing. It's only nowadays that karambit is something that is very known all over the place, and everybody can learn it quite easily. It's not difficult to learn karambit these days. In the old days, it was very difficult to learn karambit because it was something that was reserved for special classes of people within the Sultan's court and within the royal families and things like that, or the special royal guards or something like that. Those are the people who learned karambit. So it's very unusual. The karambit is the highest level of skill which would be given from an instructor to a student, and it wasn't given to everybody. It was given to people that they trusted and people that they believed in and that they wanted to have that skill, because it was not a typical farming tool. The farming tool was a different thing, and it looks like a karambit, but it's a different thing. It's larger, and it's used in order to do all kinds of agricultural work on the farm. But the small concealable karambit, which was used to fight, that was not a farming tool before. So that's a bit of a misconception. So agricultural work, back to our topic, agricultural work actually had a lot of influence on the way that people move. So these are some of the interesting things that I found over the years in relation to warrior body culture. And it's very important to actually focus on warrior body culture, because the more that you develop good warrior body culture, the more that you understand the way people move in different places, and the way that power is generated from a movement. You can take any weapon, you can take any tool you have, anything, or empty-handed, and you are able to do something effective with it in a combative method, because you understand the physics behind it. You understand the human physique that is needed, the movement of the human body, of the human anatomy that is needed in order to perform movements with power or with speed or with other attributes that are good for martial artists. So if you understand warrior body culture, you understand different people, and you also understand how to move better and more efficiently. And that's what Bruce Lee was trying to study over the years also. He was trying to study how human body culture worked, so that he could more efficiently move in order to be faster, in order to be stronger, in order to be more flexible, all of those kind of things. those are really important things that we need to consider as instructors, especially, and as practitioners of any martial art. It's really super important. And for Pencak Silat Sharaf, my system, it's extremely important. We spend a lot of time trying to understand that. So I wanted to present that for you all today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. And you can always ask me any more questions you want at totalurbansurvival.com. You can reach me on Telegram through there anytime you want. I'm more than happy to reach out and talk to any one of you. It is my pleasure to work with anybody who needs help or who has any other questions. Okay? So thanks very much for watching. And this is Hussein. You know me very well from totalurbansurvival.com. I want you to stay strong. I want you to stay lethal. And I want you to stay humble. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves, brothers and sisters. I love all of you. Bye-bye.